you everyone for joining us. I think one of the most exciting themes of discussion, decoding the Indian wardrobe 2030. I want to break the conversation in two important parts. One, how will India dress? And second, how will India shop? Right? So we're going to kickstart with the first one. And Sankar, I'll begin with you. If we look at the growth of Decathlon India, it has interestingly not just come from athletes, considering Decathlon started to position itself as a sportswear brand, right? But from everyday customers as well. In your view, is this being driven by more Indians participating in sports, or sportswear or comfort wear has fundamentally become everyday fashion?
Thank you, Pallavi. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I just want to start that there's a big revolution happening in terms of sports market in India. 11 to 12 years before, we used to say 5% of Indian play sports and practice sports. But if you see now, it is more than 12%, which is like around 200 million population of India is practicing sports, just to give a fast view. At the same time, if you see, there is a big movement in terms of athleisure and something called walkwear, which is also getting popular in a big way. I will also say that because the exposure of the sports is high, people start practicing sports more. They also inclined to use the same kind of attire in the offices, in the mall, even in fine dine too nowadays. And with that, this market is also booming. The comfort is an important factor. Like if you see that quite a lot of brands, including us, focusing on the warp knit kind of fabric, and which is also getting popular in terms of those lines. My last point, just to speak, that if you see the evolution, what is happening from the leather footwear with the sports footwear too. I'm happy to see quite a lot of people here also wearing the same thing. So this evolution will keep happening, and we need to all adapt that, and that will be the next wardrobe in the back end will be. So that's my point of view about that. Thanks.
Thank you, Sankar. Rakesh, coming to you, just building on the comfort wear conversation, denim has historically been one of the most comfortable, categories. But today, when consumers have far more comfort-led options, there's an entire shift in the behavior. Are you seeing denim lose its share in the wardrobe, or the role is evolving?
See, denim for longest time in India, in fact in the world market as well, has been known for comfort, and I don't see it really going down. See, there are fads that keep coming in. For example, last 2 years back, there was an increasing trend about adopting cargo pants. So so denim, I mean, honestly speaking, based on the history, it's pretty cyclical in its approach in terms of demand. In fact, I will say, denim point of view, now the fits are changing. The younger customers are actually adopting looser fits. Then the older customers are adopting straighter fits. So the skinny fit is on a decline. So denim as a category is not dying. To be very honest, it's in fact growing even for us, and we see a lot of potential in growth in there. In terms of comfort, yes, there are alternatives that's happening that are coming up in terms of athleisure, as he was mentioning about. But I think denim is here to stay, and don't see any problems as such in this category.
Okay, and I'll second your point on the skinny fit one. Recently, I tried wearing one, and my niece, who's a Gen Z, she rolled her eyes really, really bad at me. So they're clearly on a decline.
Yeah, it's not in right now, so it's actually on its way out for the time being.
Thank you. Sundeep, coming to you, with OVS India, you're bringing a Italian luxury brand to the country. And if I go by the brief that Google gives us, it's a fast fashion Italian brand, right? So just building my question on that, fast fashion as a category primarily depends that the customer is refreshing their wardrobe far more frequently, right? Is that also something that you're seeing on ground? And what is the market research with which you have walked into building OVS in India?
Yeah, so generally, from a brand perspective, we are looking at offering, an affordable fashion which has good quality but at the right price. So it's about, giving that, living up to the aspiration of a ever-evolving consumer. Now, from a point of view of, when you look at the overall landscape and the evolution, I feel generally intensity to buy. Because, I've been hearing since, all of us have been hearing since morning that, and generally we all believe in it also, that India is going to become the third biggest economy. So when the country is going to become third biggest economy, the aspirations are definitely bound to grow. People will have much higher income, disposable income. So consumers would definitely, intensity to buy and maybe, refresh their wardrobe would be on a higher scale, higher intensity. But again, because, even a consumer is getting educated, we had discussion about the shoes, the leather shoes to casual shoes, we discuss about denims. So consumers are also becoming educated, they're becoming more insightful. So yes, intensity will go high, people will intend to buy more, but they would be logical. They would look at things in a more pragmatic manner. They would look at relevance, they would look at quality, they would look at sustainability, and also they will look at digital validation. So the shopping is not only about, again, as of now we're offering offline experience, but we also know a consumer journey evolves from multiple channels. So as a brand, as an industry, as an ecosystem, we'll have to gear up for that. That yes, consumer would evolve, would buy more, but their expectations would also high. And as a brand, as a mall, as a retail ecosystem, we'll have to live up to that. That's what I feel.
Very pointed. Thank you. Pernia, if we look at your work in the industry, you have operated at the premium and occasion-led segment. Today, there are two conversations. We just talked about comfort wear, everyday styles, and then there's this entire wave of homegrown luxury brands and global luxury brands entering in India, right? So there are two parallel waves in the industry ongoing. What are you seeing in the market? Is the customer moving more towards comfort wear, everyday wear, or is India really waking up to the luxury conversation?
I think there was always a need and demand for both. I think you can't really compensate one for the other. You cannot compensate everyday comfortable clothing for occasion wear. As an Indian girl or as any person living in India, you will need both, right? You will need something to wear to an occasion. You will need something to wear to office. You will need something to wear to college. The only difference is that I can speak for myself, when I was growing up in India, there weren't as many brands that were offering, like local brands, that were offering comfortable clothing to wear every day. So when like a Pepe Jeans came to India or like a Benetton came to India, then we were like, okay, finally something which looks nice, which we can wear every day. Now there are a lot of local brands. That what has changed is that now there's a lot of local Indian homegrown brands making comfortable clothing, everyday clothing, stylish clothing that you can wear every day, and you don't have to depend on the brands coming into India. Now coming to the luxury market, luxury shopping, what someone does from an Indian designer brand is not something they can get at like a Louis Vuitton or a Chanel, right? They could get a bag maybe, a lipstick maybe, but you're not going to get a bridal lehenga. That's a demand that's always going to be there. So, every place and every kind of category has its place in our society and in our culture, and it's all needed. Like the Louis Vuitton bag is also needed now as a part of the trousseau. It's become a part of our, like shopping culture when it comes to luxury shopping. And the lehenga, of course, is never going to go anywhere. The lehenga is always needed. You're not going to do peras in like a frock, right? So, yeah, they're both there, both as important.
Thank you for that. Sunil, I'll come to you. We've heard how individual categories are going. From a mall perspective, where do you see, increased footfalls? Where do you see demand? Which category brands do you see performing really well in a shopping center today?
Okay, so while in a mall there are different categories, but I'll keep it specific to the wardrobe. In a wardrobe, if I would see, there are three categories that stand out for us in malls. The first category that stands out is the sportswear and athleisure. So in today's time, what has happened is there are a lot of wellness activities going on, and Gen Z wants to casualize their workplace and all. So something that was sneakers and leggings are not niche now. It is common. People wear that everywhere. So that is something that we see. Sneakers, sportswear and athleisure is something that is doing very good. And it's got a lot of stickiness to it. The second category that is there is fast fashion. So the social media trends and the need to refresh your wardrobe faster is mandatory for fast fashion to do good. And the benefit that we have in fast fashion is you get repeat customers and you get a lot of footfall. So there are many fast fashion brands which are close to anchors because they get higher footfalls and repeat footfalls. The third category that is there for us, I think, is the premium category now. So in premium category, what is happening is with the increase in the living standards in India and the young professionals mostly want experience. They come to a mall as a lifestyle destination. They do not come just for shopping. So these are the top three categories. But after this, if I were to put in a small note, is that occasion wear is something that we've seen in the last 6 months with all festivals coming in and people buying occasion wear. It helps because it is a cultural event which brings in people. So a small part of occasion wear helps. So if I were to sum up, you cannot have a mall with one category. It is how do you merge your sportswear, which creates stickiness, how do you ensure fast fashion is there, and how do you have premium experiential for different consumers that is there over there. So that's where I see the mall overall as category wardrobe mix is going.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that. Moving to the second round of discussion where I want to spend some time on how this customer is shopping. And Sunil, I'll begin with you only. You shared two important points. One was the role of online, and second, how malls are evolving as experience destinations, right? Initially, when we saw the rise of e-commerce and now also quick commerce, we all deliberated this would eventually become a threat to shopping centers. But on ground, what is the reality? Are footfalls really impacted today, especially when we see apparel as a growing category for e-commerce and quick commerce today?
Everybody thought, yes, online will take over, but the good story is it's not taken over. Retail is there, footfall is up, business is up. See, online was convenience, it's transaction. Today's malls have evolved and they are not transactions. So it is not per square feet that we count at the mall. It is the experience that we deliver per square feet that we count, which is something that an online platform cannot deliver. So malls are not only about shopping. It's about how do you give an experience to a consumer. So you've got dining, which is there. You've got wellness, which is there. You've got your fashion, which is there. You've got entertainment, which is there. And with all of this, you put in a lot of cultural events which are relevant for the particular brands and categories which pull in the customers. So these are things which I think online cannot do. It's transaction-based versus experience-based. So that's where the difference is, and consumers now want to experience the product, see new things, and I think they're coming back.
Thank you. Rakesh, coming to you as someone whose brand is present across almost all the channels today, which channel brings the best ROI today? Is it the marketplaces? Is it an EBO, an MBO, or in fact a digital, new age digital channels?
See, as a brand which exists across channels, it's important to represent the brand in the right way across the channels. See, ROS actually, I'll say relative, right? Eventually, you'll have to see what is the kind of, like for example, retail. Retail is where the maximum investment goes from a brand perspective, but it has its own, apart from just pure revenue, it also builds the brand identity. So we can't look at ROI only from the perspective of pure numbers. So retail is equally important. I'll say for a brand, retail shows the identity and retail gives you the best ROI in long term. Whereas in a short-term perspective, I think the other channels like the digital online platforms, marketplaces, our partners like distribution and large format retail, typically in terms of ROI, immediate in short term, that's where we actually make money, and it's an important part of growing the brand in a multi-channel way.
Okay. Sundeep, coming to you, since you have begun the retail expansion at OVS, what does your strategy look like? Which is, your priority right now, considering it's a luxury fast fashion brand? Will offline remain as your priority, or you're deliberating with e-commerce at the same time?
Sorry, look, when you look at a country with the demography and the diversity, and also fashion across the country is at different stages of evolution. So you go to tier 3, tier 4, you'll see understanding of fashion evolving, maybe evolving now at a faster pace, but again, that's in an evolutionary stage. So what is very important is to cater to 1.4 billion people. We'll have to respect all the channels because every channel has a very important role to play. You look at a brand like Snitch, it started online. You look at a brand like Rare Rabbit, it started online, but then it went to offline. It really became very big offline, and then it amalgamated the online through their own website. So there are enough and umpteen examples where, let's say, a brand started a journey from offline, then went to online and made it right. Again, there are brands which have started online, they came to offline, and they're doing very well. So what is important is consistently do the right things wherever you are. That consistency of doing the right execution, respecting the channel, and living up to the expectation of consumer on that channel is very, very important. That's what I believe. So generally, for any brand to be successful, a multi-channel strategy in a country like India is very important. How do you plan it? How do you face it? May depend from brand to brand. As I mentioned, brands that move from online to offline have been really very successful. Brands that move from offline to online have been really very successful. It's all about execution. For OVS, as of now, for the first 3 years, we're looking at creating a very strong offline representation because that's where you interact with customer. I've been personally at the store for the first 15 days, talking to customers day in, day out, spending 18 hours, 20 hours at the store, right from opening the store. So I realized that the product feedback, the feel of fabric, the pricing, I've seen customers coming from Zara, honestly, to my store and asking, why should we buy you? You are a new brand, but why should we? So I had to tell them, okay, that's a great brand. You've come from a great brand to another brand. We are also great in our own terms. This is the price we offer. This is the quality we offer. This is the product we offer. We have an assortment, which is, so what happens at an offline? So there's a lot of engagement which happens. Customer connect happens. So for the first 3 years, the intent is to hear to the customer, understand from the customer, learn, assess, introspect, correct, and have the right recipe for the brand. So we have done exceptionally well in the first 100 days, but there are also some learnings. There are also some inputs from the customers. So intent is for the first 2 to 3 years, do it right in a physical space, start preparing for the next phase, which could be an online, maybe our own website, and then also looking at a marketplace. But to answer your question, the first 3 years would be engagement, interaction, learning, assessment, directly from a consumer's mind. That's what we are currently looking at.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Just building on this and coming to the occasion wear segment again, Pernia, if we look at the last 3-4 months, which is the festive and the wedding season, I think online platforms were having a blast. There were so many, there were curated segments on you're attending a wedding, you're a wedding guest, you're a bride, you're a groom, you're the bride's mother, so much and so more. Do you see occasion wear to still be dominated by offline only, or will online have a meaningful share, in the coming few years?
So when I founded my first business, we were only online, and we were selling luxury designer wear, right? And we were able to be very successful and do a lot of sales for luxury wear only online. Having said that, I do believe that a hybrid model is probably the smartest. Like people have mentioned earlier on this panel, I think having like multi-channels is important. So offer your product in different ways, because there are certain clients who would prefer online, certain clients like the offline experience. I think if you can eventually give them both options. I think brands that do like a hybrid model, online and offline, usually end up doing the best because they're able to reach consumers in different ways and satisfy their needs in different ways. And I do have to say that the luxury industry, especially Indian designer luxury industry, does depend on the festive season. Like most of their business happens in these like 3 months, and the rest of the year you can't even compare the numbers to these 3 months, So I think in these 3 months, driving up your content, like you said, like best ways, there are all these lists and there's all this content, right? How to shop, what to shop. And I think it makes sense because you really have to make the most of those festive months because there's a demand, right? All of a sudden, there's so many occasions back to back, and then there are weddings on top of that and festivals, and you have to create content, and the best place to create content is online, right? It's the easiest way to get people to engage with you. So I think, yeah, I think it's important, and I think using whatever you have. So if you can use online engagement to attract somebody to your brand, that's great. And maybe they don't shop immediately, but they can also visit your store once they're engaged with you, right?
Point.
Yeah.
I think a hybrid approach. Thank you so much for that. Sankar, I'll come to you. As a company which operates a significant number of physical retail stores, over the last 6 months, you have invested into setting up your own quick commerce channel as well. Where do you see, fastest growth to come from? And if you can maybe take us back to, the boardroom of why the brand took the decision to invest in setting up, your own quick commerce, because that's a heavy investment in technology and supply chain. Why did that decision happen?
So I'm quite agree with all the panelists that the customer are really omni. They need really convenience, at the same time experience. It's a mix. I really believe that our kind of brand in Decathlon, we believe that, and we saw that the time we try to segregate by channel, it's a mistake. Our traffic is same in terms of the top of the funnel, whether it is a store traffic or online traffic or multi-channel. And really, our customers shop in different channels in different times, all the loyal customers. What I really feel that it's complex in terms of supply chain to manage, because we also launched quick commerce in last 6 months with effort by ourselves with 2 hours delivery in top 7 cities. And customer really accept that requirement. And it depends on what kind of experience you want. I'll give an example to you. If somebody really want to buy a bicycle, they'll be definitely visiting our store. Or a good swimwear, they'll be visiting our store. But example, if they forgot to get a glasses for swimming or forgot to get a shuttlecock for badminton, they need it fast. So we need to really find these touch points, because that's the important point to take the mind share of the customer, at the same time increasing the shopping frequency. So it's the and game, it's not an or game, and we continue doing that.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Just one final quick round of questions. In one word for all of you, in the last few quarters, we have seen brands going a little more cautious on expansion, considering the slowing demand in the market. How do you plan for FY27? And if you have to point out the one big metric which you would be focusing in your businesses, or which you would advise the room to focus on, what would that metric be? We'll start with you, Sankar.
I really feel that growth is going to bring the bottom line. This is an important point. Controlling the OPEX and CAPEX is something could be very tricky if the growth does not come. So what does it mean? That it's important to, like in Decathlon, we say that we prefer to run a marathon than a sprint. So long-term game, be persistent, be resilient. And we also saw the customer behavior also changing in the last quarter too. In some of the segment, in the back office, we are talking about after GST, there is a different kind of approach for the prices higher and prices lower. So I think it's a mix, and we need to always observe, correct, and grow.
Interesting. Thank you. Rakesh, your thought?
So I think it's about quality growth over quantity growth. I think that's the approach that we are taking for 27. It's not about number of stores you open, number of right stores and productive stores that you open. So it's more than quantum. We should look at opening in a right place where the customers are there. I think a little bit of data-led approach really helps, and not just by gut. It's very important, because ultimately, since the retail market has been soft for last few years, it's important that the bottom line should also grow for the brands. And again, I think improving full price sell-throughs are really important in this business. So right product assortment. Inventory is always the most dangerous stuff for our industry. So it's important to be prudent in that and planning it right. If you can do this, I think the market is open for growth.
So I would say for your core business, stay prudent and consistent. For something disruptive you have, be aggressive. Uniqlo is an example. They disrupted the market because they had something different and unique. And Also the best time to look at the white spaces, the markets where you feel you need to create your presence. This is the right time because market is generally low, so you may get the right rentals. Identify those spaces and maybe block those spaces. So prudence, blended with consolidation and maybe aggression wherever you feel you have a formula which can really disrupt the market.
Thank you. Your advice.
So for me, I'm actually launching a new business this year, in the next financial year. And my focus is going to be customer care and customer experience. Because I think there is no point starting or engaging in a luxury business if customer experience is not at the core of it. So that could mean anything. That could mean response time to customers. That could mean experts who deal with customers. That could mean a really easy navigation when you're online, so you're in and out with no barriers. That could mean so many things. That could even mean beautiful packaging. The focus and my end goal is going to be customer service, customer experience, because if you give that to the highest degree, there is no way then there won't be stickiness, they won't come back, and that you're going to eventually then build something of really high value. And I think in luxury shopping, that's the most important. And you know what the sad part is? That so many people in luxury retail in India don't think of that. That's not the core of their business, and I just don't understand. Like, I don't get it, because when you're paying so much money, it's not just about the actual product. It's about everything around the product. End to end, how was the experience for me, right? There's a reason why when you go into a really fancy shop, they give you champagne, right? It's all about the experience. People engaging in luxury, because it's not something they need. It's something they want. It's an extra spend. So giving them that experience, which is special because they're choosing to spend their money, which they don't have to with you, So I think that's going to be at the core of what I do now with this business, but like everything I do in general.
I think very rightly put. Sunil, what would you advise an apparel retailer operating in your mall to focus on for this fiscal?
See, I think what we've seen is the retailers are still expanding in A-grade malls. A-grade malls still don't have vacancies with them. I think they are doing mindful expansion. So like what Pernia said, the malls that are high on experience, that can understand the consumer and deliver that experience. They're not delivering a transaction, but an experience. Those are the malls where the consumer is going. They are moving towards experiential malls, and that is where business is happening. So at the right location, at the right malls, the brands still do business, and that is where they want to be seen as of now. For us as a mall, I think all the malls where we are moving towards that particular pattern, those are the malls that are growing, and that is what we would all focus on. What are the events that you do? Are you doing the right events which are with the brands and getting the right consumer who can shop? And I think the earlier thing that you said, online and offline, I think online helps offline because the consumer is aware, sees what are the brands, but he wants to touch and feel and probably comes and buys. If you do the right cultural event, give him the right experience, conversion of that customer is faster and better here, and he'll come back.
Interesting. I think very rightly put again. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your inputs, for being so candid and honest about it. And thank you for being a patient audience. Thank you.